Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing with the Derek DLC on Our Life Beginnings and Always. And it's going to be the in-between moment, of course. It's the part after, well, it's kind of like in the middle of where it says in the summer ended moment, of course. So this is an in-between moment. So let's get started on that. There we go. Load it. There we go. One fine morning, you took in what had become a very special scene. The whole family having a meal together. Grab some drink here quick. Your big sister Liz still hadn't lived at home full time for a couple of years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. She wanted to make sure she was in town because you had also graduated high school, so who knew how much rarer these moments would become in the future. You watched on as Liz laughed good naturedly over a comment Mom made. Her Elizabeth only mindset had only been a phrase. Nearly any nickname was welcome at this point in her life. Strangely, even though she moved away, you lately felt closer to her than you had in a long time. You idly scooped up more of your breakfast and chewed absent-mindedly. Let's see. Well, I'm not vegetarian and not vegan. I mean, you could pick that, but not really. I'm just gonna go with the bottom here. You generally eat whatever. And the meal you had reflected that. It included just about everything your moms had made, though you often made your own food nowadays. When Liz around, though, your parents made even more options than usual. Your sister had been a vegetarian for a while, and they wanted to make sure she had choices too. Conversation had gone on idly, without you fully taking in the words, until your ears were plagued when Mom stared on a bit of town gossip. Mom started a bit of town gossip. Sorry about that.
Uh huh.
And so that's how I heard the news. All right. Now stop burying the eye laid and tell us, what is this so-called news? Ma giggled as she cast a look across the table, satisfied that she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out that Donald's won't be renting out the condo up the street as per Sunset Bird tradition. For the first time in what must nearly must be nearly 2 decades. A chorus of gasp and shocked expressions were had all around. After the initial shock, your eyebrows pinched. Mom may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 35 or 25 who crossed their paths. Yeah, remember in the when we did the Cove moment back when it was on the step one, I think. Apparently, they were walking by the condo where the old people were staying, and apparently they yelled at him and made him cry. That was a bad moment for Cove. I mean, he was already going through a lot at that time, and have these old people yelling at him. It's like it was just too much for him at that time. Your mom continued on with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did so. They've decided not to take big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their home. That's nice for them. Then have a good summer, mean grandparents, with no grandkids away from us. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Finally, they can piss off. Be nice, kids. Why? They weren't nice to us. You don't want to end up like them, do you? Nope, of course not. And you and your sister cracked smiles at the joke.
Well?
At least they won't be here to yell at my children anymore. Yeah, we're grown up now. We're not kids anymore, so don't have to worry about that.
Lonnie.
Lonnie. And that blunt comment got laughter from all three of you. Engrossed in conversation once more, you continued to chat with your family until the meal was over. Step 3, third time's charm. As it went, once the food was eaten, the cleanup had to be done. Liz took the role of washing dishes and passed them to you for drying and putting away. You had a set of cups in front of you that needed to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. Let's see, I'm going to go with number 3. You had to stretch, but it was doable. You were an average height. Yeah, I know I'm real. I'm 6'1", but sometimes some places are hard to reach if they're really high up. So I have to get a stool and get up there, put something or put something away or take something down, whatever. It happens. That was simply your lot in life. You'd always hovered around the expected height of your age. Choices. I'm gonna go with this one because in real life, this is kind of what I thought. I didn't really think about it much. You didn't really think about it much. That part of yourself was never something you could nearly figure out your thoughts on. Liz shook you out of your initial musing by starting up an impromptu conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that she had been buzzing around in her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty intimidating. You think after the first year or two you'd have to handle I'd have a handle on things, but no. You stole a glance at her, still placing cups in the proper place. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes, and year one of my architecture major was the basics. Now it feels serious. I have to actually know some things. The laugh she gave was flippantly airy, but the way she scrubbed at the plates held more force than necessary. I'm gonna go with this one. I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. Don't be too impressed yet. Wait to see if it actually happens, but thanks. Sure, you're welcome. Her older sister's mouth quirked into a small smile. It'll be fine, one way or another.
Oh.
Oh, but I'm not trying to scare you away from college, if that's even your plan. What is going on with that anyway? You kind of had a general idea. Yeah, I never went to college. I never even, and to tell the truth, I never even really graduated from high school. I kind of dropped out in the 11th grade, so it's a bad time anyway. It was a bad time in my life. But we'll go with this one for the storyline anyway. You kind of had a general idea. You answered the question as much as you were able and willing to. Liz's smile grew more reassuring as you did. You made it though 12 years of full-time education already. You've got plenty going for you. Sometimes it still felt hard to believe your public schooling experience was over in the end. I'm gonna go with this one. You had been an average graduate. And you felt satisfied leaving it off there. It had been a familiar and enjoyable part of your life, but you were ready to move on. Liz picked up on the silence her question ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement on the topic.
You're a good boy.
You're a good boy, Chippy. Do what's best for you, and we'll all be here to back it up. Thanks, Liz. At that, Liz happily passed the final dish your way. She waved a soaked hand as a farewell and moved on to her next task for the cleanup job. You refocused on getting the last pieces, but back where they put back where they belong. Whoops. I missed. Okay, there we go. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. I'm gonna go with this one. You set one of your most beloved songs as your ringtone. You casually picked it up from the table where you had placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years old at this point, having been a 16th birthday gift from your parents. Oh, cool. Yeah, back then we didn't have cell phones. all airlines back in my old days. I don't think they didn't start getting cell phones till like mid to late 80s. And at one point it was just a big car phone. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was purple's my favorite, so I'm gonna go with purple. And it was and it had a special charm attached to it, which was I'm gonna go with a crystal. The screen lit up as you gave the little device a swipe with one finger. You were informed by caller ID that it was Lee. You weren't surprised. Despite having busier and busier lives and not living in the same town, you still had a good relationship with your cousin, the same age. Especially once the miracle of both of you having your own phones actually happened. Phones actually happened. She got hers first, though. Well, of course, she was older than us, so she would have gotten hers earlier. Tapping at the abrupt button, you answered her call. A familiar, bubbly voice came through right after.
Hi.
Hey, Chippy. Hiya. I trust I'm not interrupting anything major. Only some cleaning around the house. Oh, then you're welcome. You're welcome for my call. Distraction from that must have been desperately needed. I'm gonna go with this one. Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
Right?
She giggled, and you could hear the jingling of the jewelry she must be wearing. Nothing amazing is happening to me, for me either. I'm bored and felt like chatting. Our morning shift ended, and so I'm free for the rest of the day. Ooh. That's good. Now what? Let's see. You were off to your part-time job today? Yeah, we'll go that one. Like you, Lee had started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It made keeping in touch frequently even more complicated. But you both managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal.
Cool.
That's you then. So, how's Mr. Cove Holden doing? Hmm. There was a friendly sense of genuine curiosity in her tone. She had always thought well of him. But that name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next door neighbor, for the past decade at this point. He was a very close friend of yours, yeah. We'll go with that. Definitely the kind of person you could count on. Have you been making do without him? Or is he back? No, Lee, he isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday or the last time you asked. Or the time before that.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Can you blame me? Doesn't it seem like he should have made his grand return already? Plus, I want to visit soon, and he needs to be there too. You could understand where she was coming from. This was certainly outside of the norm. For the past couple of months and the last few weeks, especially, Cove had been going to his mom's place in Nevada. The two of you still regularly stayed in contact over text and calls, but still, your mind began to drift back in time to all the prior trips he'd taken to visit her. Almost every year, he'd have to go away for a while, then he'd be back. Let's see. You never minded it. I mean, we're just friends. We're not like in a relationship, so not at this point anyway. And we'll stay in touch, of course. Um, you sent him letters the entire time he was away. Cove made sure to mail some back to you, too. That's how it was in the past. But lately, he had been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state became too partial to do. His part-time work could become full-time soon, or he could be moving somewhere else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear what his plans were after graduation. Cove was hesitant to speak on that. Even with you, it couldn't be avoided forever, though you both knew that.
Well,
Maybe we should switch this up to a non-Cove related topic. Yes, let's do that. Sounds like a plan. The rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer, though. Lee had to go, and you needed to finish your responsibilities around the house. The both of you engaged goodbyes, then you went back to what you'd been working on before the call came in. As you wrapped up the last of your chores, you were approached by Liz, wearing a cheeky smile. I got Mom's keys. Wanna get out of this tiny town and do some shopping in a real city? That sounds great.
good.
Good, I'm driving. Well, in real life, I never learned how to drive and never got a license and decided not to. That's something I didn't want to do anyway. Especially with some of the crazy drivers out there today and here in Las Vegas anyway. But I'm gonna go with this one. Even though you could drive too, it was her plan. She could do it if she wanted. Go get your wallet and anything else. We're going now. I wonder if this. I think this is where we're gonna run into Shiloh, like we did in the Cove moments. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from your bedroom. You had money saved up from all the part-time work you'd done, as well as from gifts you'd received. After making sure you both were fully prepared for the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride there, with light conversation about what shops to stop at and the radio blasting. The trip were there breezed by, and in that felt like no time. You had gone from cruising down the road to cruising through the mall. Liz had her interest to check out, and yours. I'm gonna go with this one. You'd gotten into new things since you'd grown up. for fun to you, you like to play video games, board games, and card games. And see, like going to the beach and swimming, and looking for shows, looking on the shore, and like hanging out with people. You enjoyed music. You listened to a lot of it. That was everything major that came to mind. When turning a corner down a new length of the mall, your eyes caught a little gift store. Your friends and family had recently given you many presents for graduating high school. Excuse me. I'm just gonna go with this one. You really appreciated what you had gotten. It was thoughtful of them. Eventually, the mall was explored in full, with every shop of note being checked over. Rather than going home, you decided to walk over to some smaller stores nearby. Liz had many thoughts on that topic.
So?
Honestly, malls are not a basin of society, even if smaller stores require extra distance. The brands are so much more. Then your sister abruptly stopped speaking and walking right in the middle of the path. It was a good thing no one was behind her. She seemed to entirely shut off for a moment. Liz? The attempt to catch her attention was unsuccessful. Something else had all her focus. Before you could puzzle out what might be happening, she began to muddle out the corner of her mouth. Chippy, don't draw attention, but look. What? With a harsh whisper and a subtitle jerk of her hand, she urged you once more.
Hey!
Look. You followed her gaze as best as you could to a large bunch of colorful teens strolling down the same path, okay? You faced back over to your sister with a confused expression and an unspoken question. What were you supposed to be seen there? Chibi, doesn't one of them seem familiar? She was practically bouncing at this point. So you looked the group over again, and this time you saw what she was seeing. Yep, there he is, Shiloh. I think we'll take a picture, why not? Let's see. F3, I think it was. No. Okay, try F4. F5, F6, F7, F8, F8, F9, F10, F12. Nope. Okay. Oops, that was not good. There we go. I gotta remember which one I was supposed to put. Amongst the collection of strangers was brown hair and gray eyes and lots of freckles. Yeah, it's Shiloh. A lot older now, but yeah, it's Shiloh. That's Shiloh. Our Shiloh. From when we were kids. Yeah, that was definitely him. Can't believe it. He's honestly just there. That's hilarious. That's incredible. Oh, but how do we talk to him? We have to pull him away from all those other people, and what if I'm wrong? Your mouth opened to reply, but she cut it off with her own answer to the question. I got it. I'll shout the name Shiloh. Then we can act like it wasn't us. If he responds to that, we'll know without a doubt it's him. Chippy, keep an eye out to see if he looks. Let's try it. Likely, without even hearing what you had to say, Liz put her plan into action. Shiloh! She loudly projected the word across the way, and then put an act of casualness, turning her head away from the scene while brushing at the skirt of her dress. In the supremely awkward moment, you could only stand there as attention in the area shifted to the two of you thanks to your sister's shout. But the many started bystanders who became altered to your presence. One of them was the boy from the distance. His large eyes met yours. I gotta figure something out here in a moment. Okay. F12. You can take a screenshot by pressing F12 while in the game. Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Let's go back to full screen. And let's do that. Let's try to take a picture with F12. Yep, there it goes. Did it. Screenshotted it. He looked. A wide grin took over Liz's face. She pushed the rim of her sun hat up and away from her face while swishing back around to greet her old friend jerkily. Shiloh. Maybe she stepped a bit closer to express her intention to meet without really closing the gap. She wanted him to come to her, who you presumed to be Shiloh, looked surprised at the call out. He stole a quick glance at the crowd he was with and hesitantly glanced back your way. He was trying to double check something. Liz remained steadfast with her gaze trained on him, and ultimately he broke away from the rest of them. Yeah, we'll screenshot this one too. There we go. After a light-footed jog across the brick path, the young man pleasantly presented himself in front of Liz and you.
Hi.
Hi, I like your hat. Just that simply greeting had Liz giggling.
Hey.
Hello, I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm Lizzie and that's Chippy. We were all friends when we were little kids. His already wide eyes grew larger, their gaze darting between you and Liz. His previously chipper demeanor faded into something delicate. Yeah, I think this is where he's pretending not to know us, but he actually does remember us. In the cove moments when Liz went to get him and bring him, we found out later on that he was pretending not to know us, and Liz was not very happy about that at all. Yeah. It was kind of rude of him to not remember either. I mean, to pretend that he didn't remember. I mean, if he didn't remember for real, as he didn't remember us, that's one thing. But to pretend that's just pretend that he didn't know us. That's rude. That's mean. It's rude. He's got his own life, and Liz has got her own life, and my main character has got his own life. But still, I can understand Liz is trying to reach out to an old friend. That's understandable. And for him to be pretending like he didn't know us was rude. I'm really sorry, but I think you have the wrong person. Yeah, wrong answer, Shiloh. I think the right thing for him could have done was like, sorry, I'm kind of in the middle of a tour group or whatever, and they're not gonna like it me breaking away, and I gotta stay with the group. Here's my phone number. Yeah, I do remember you guys. Here's my phone number. Just call me and talk, okay? That's what I would do. I mean, if I remembered the person. But sometimes you go away from people you've known, and then you find them later on, and it's like, and then after they say who they are, it's like, wow, you didn't. Time goes by. Sometimes you just don't remember certain things, And sometimes a person, their looks might change. You wouldn't even notice who they really were. Things happen. You could tell not being instantly recognized was going to make this exchange more of a challenge. Still, Liz was undeterred. Undeterred? I think that's the word for it. It was a long time ago. You were really young. I get why you feel like that. However, I'm positive I'm right. You're exactly the same. That face, the freckles, how gently you try to phrase things. You're even still wearing a hat. Yeah, just not the same type of hat he was wearing when he was a kid, obviously. Now that he's grown up. Instinctively, he looked up at his headwear with creased brows, not making the connection on why the hat meant something to her.
Okay.
We know each other, okay? An uneasy smile settled on him as a silence followed Liz's speech. He was picking his next words carefully. And then a quiet was obturated by a new voice bursting into the conversation. Shiloh, what are you doing? The rest of the group are already left. A field trip is not a vacation. We are on schedule. We're on a schedule. See, he knows Shiloh. Startled at her hand, snapped towards the path. Distantly unhappy individual with piercing magenta eyes, dark brown skin, and a sharp jaw stormed your way. He carried a cloud of authority with him, despite looking like he wasn't even 18 yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to ditch. Shiloh, whose name was now officially confirmed, gestured with a hand to add to the explanation of his absence, as the stranger watched impatiently. They thought they recognized me as someone they knew, but it was a tiny misunderstanding. Liz theoretically as well as literally put her foot down at that, stomping in frustration and getting more childish the longer she was around her childhood companion.
Come on.
We do know you. Shiloh mercilessly shrunk in on himself. The tone he spoke with was pained. Sorry. You honestly couldn't tell if he was apologizing for the upset feelings of your sister, or the palpable dissatisfaction of his new acquaintance that in itself was very Shiloh-like. Oh, you know him? Is that it? The stranger spoke in dismissively scoffing tone, as if the words sounded so absurd to him. It was almost amusing, but the sternness of his demeanor quickly reinstated itself. Well, do you know me? I'll tell you, I'm someone who has been forced amongst his will to be aware of what's going on in Shiloh's ridiculous personal life for a year. If the two of you had any importance in his general day-to-day existence, it would have come up by now. Don't bother trying to exaggerate any trivial connection you might have. It's not good enough. He's with us, and you'll survive without him. Now stop loitering the road. It's rude. You're rude. Dude, you're rude.
Excuse me?
We're the rude ones? I know, exactly. The high-strung Mantine got an audible gasp from Shiloh, who finally started to speak up again in defense. Nate, that's really mean. It's also true we're leaving. With a declaration, the unofficial introduced Nate indignantly spun on his heels and walked speedily towards where the group went, completely confident that Shiloh would follow behind. Oh, people can sure have bad attitudes, huh? Why can't they just try to get along? It's not hard. Don't worry though. I bet you won't have to deal with him again. And I'm sorry I can't stay to talk to you. But I hope you have a really nice life. That's kind of rude saying like that. Mean. I mean, he does remember us, but he's pretending not to know us, and saying it like that just seems mean and rude.
Bye.
Bye yourself. And that was it. His final parting words given. Shiloh left the two of you behind it to catch up with his own life that he had to go live. I mean, if he did really remember us, which he did in the storyline, obviously, he should have approached it a lot better than that. He should have said, "Okay, I'm in the middle of a tour group. Here, I'll give you my phone number. You can call me later. We can talk." And yes, I do remember you guys, but I can't talk right now. I gotta go. Sorry. That's not being rude. I mean, that's just saying the truth. I'm in the middle of a group. I can't stay here and talk with you. I gotta go. Sorry. I'm trying to be rude, you know. I wouldn't. If that was me, you know. Liz watched his exit, stunned only to frown when it hit her that he was really gone as quickly as he appeared. It happened so fast you hadn't even been able to get a word in. She sighed. All the energy she built up, releasing with the breath. I could have told him his last name was Fields. His birthday is October 30th. That would have proved it, but no. I know, right? Hey, it's not your fault, Liz. You're just pretending not to notice. He's being rude. He's being mean about it. Could have pushed it a lot better than what he did. I'm just gonna say it. Wow, Shiloh grew up to be dumb. He snorted at the words of disbelief at how dense he had been. Do you want to go catch up with him? Liz merely shook her head, pushing off childish thoughts. I think we can leave it there. Thanks. He's in the middle of a high school field trip, and it was already enough being able to see him. There's something reassuring about witnessing firsthand that he's still out there, enjoying his own part of the world. Though, if given the chance, I could definitely have a few words with him about the company he's got. Hey, it's not his fault. It's just one of his group members in this school. It's not like they're friends, really. They're just group mates, that's all. And the reason why I know that is because we learned that in the Cove moments, obviously. She laughed, but you could tell there wasn't much humor to it. She was mad at that guy, even if she was happy to let Shiloh go. Maybe they're only with each other because of the trip, and it's not usually how things are.
Right?
True. We can only hope the same for him as he did for us. Have a nice life, Shiloh. Yeah. Stop being a jerk, Shiloh. We know who you are. Stop. You don't have to be a jerk about it. Yeah, have a good life. Liz smiled at you, and it had self-confidence you knew so well from her. Come on, little baby Ro. Let's finish our own trip. Yeah. No matter how either you really felt about the occurrence, it was something you simply had to accept. People you knew just disappear and reappear in the most unexpected ways. The two of you enjoyed what remained of your outgoing until it was time to return home. By the time you arrived back, the sun was already beginning to set. You arched your back as you stretched your arms towards the ceiling. While it had been a good day, it had enough activity to cover an entire week. Liz tried to hide a yawn behind her hands. You weren't the only one feeling worn out. I'll be heading up to your room, the guest room, since mine stopped being available as soon as I was out the door. Her tone was light. Ear itches. She had quite a lot to say on the subject. When you first taken over her bigger room after she left for college, but there have been many trips back home for her since then. The room hasn't been hers for years. It was more of a running joke now that she continued to bring the topic up this day. I'm gonna go with this one. Thank you, Liz. It's a really nice room. Hey, don't actually sound appreciative. That's plain dirty. A small laugh was shared between you and your older sister.
Mm-hmm.
You better believe I'll be back in the guest room when you've got your own place and you're both in town for a visit. I'm gonna go with this one. We could take turns. You'll have Thanksgiving and I'll get Christmas. What a reasonable and mature suggestion. I'll think about accepting it. Clear my throat. She flushed her familiar grin, and you couldn't help but feel glad she was back around, even if it was temporary. With that, she plodded off to the spare room. You were ready to do the same. Moving into a new space was your first opportunity to decorate from scratch. Okay, now we get to design our new room. Okay. Purple. Make it purple, yeah. What extras are there? Yeah, that's pretty cool. that's good. Okay. Yeah, I'm done with it. You were really satisfied with the feel of your tiny part of the world. As for as your thoughts drifted, you tried a bit down another yawn. It was no good. Your bed was now lodged in your mind, and all you could think about was collapsing on it. You trudged up to the stairs to your room. Stepping inside, you closed the door behind you, blocking the rest of the house. When you turned back around, you realized you were not alone there. Comfortably perched on the windsill was someone very familiar to you. Cove Holden. What the hell? Surprise. His tone was easily relaxed. It certainly was a surprise. Hadn't expected him to be with the state, never mind your own house. He hadn't answered how he had suddenly just appeared back in Sunset Bird. Though, to be fair, you had been so absurd with hadn't been much of an opportunity for him to chat with you. Thankfully, Cove was only waiting for a good moment to start and begin to explain.
So,
I got in about 15 minutes ago. No one was home, so I figured I'd come in the usual way. The window. Of course. Mr. Sneaky. Small smile had forced his face. You were still staring at him, unable to blink in case he disappeared. You could still barely believe that he was really there, mere feet away from you. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a screenshot. There we go. I felt my bag. I left my bags in your backyard. I hope that's all right. Yeah, I'm sure my parents wouldn't mind. That was just when you truly understood. Cove had come straight to you upon getting back to town. You were his first port of call, taking precedence above all else. Even though you hadn't been in when he called, Cove had ensured that he'd see you at the earliest opportunity rather than following his plans to change. You shook your head at his antics. Yeah. Everything from the situation to his solution was such a Cove thing to do. Cove dropped from his seat to the on the windowsill, landing lightly on his feet. He made his way over to you, a smile still resting on his face. You're too crazy. You jovially punched him on the arm. Your first made light contact with his upper arm. Cove playfully nudged your shoulder in return. I missed you. Even if he hadn't said it outright, you would have gotten the message from his body language. Cove was grinning wildly, his raised cheeks burying his eyes, which gleamed like hidden gems. But he looked at you as if you were the most exciting treasure of all. How was the trip? Yeah. Cove told you about his trip back and it had gone. His mom was doing really well. She had a project in the works that she was thrilled about. As a result, Cove was going to be sticking around in Sunset Bear for the time being. Things were settled as much as they could ever be. With Cove back once more, you felt at ease. Cove stretched his arms out over his head, his eyes out on the window and the world beyond. The sun had set while you'd been busy reuniting.
Well,
I should probably get his stuff and see Dan. He glanced over to you with a familiar, explicit look. Wanna come with me? Sure, I can go over for a little while.
cool.
Cove began to head to your bedroom door. You followed after him. The two of you casually went down to the ground floor of your house. Cole's surprise arrival had wiped your earlier discovery from your mind. Now that you had a chance to recover, you figured you'd tell Cole the intriguing news. Oh, I meant to tell you earlier. I saw Shiloh today.
Huh?
Shiloh? Cove repeated the name, his expression blank. From when we were kids, Cove pondered the moment, then snapped his fingers. Oh, he was the freckly boy from the first summer, right? The one who moved? Yeah, I met the guy named Shiloh. He looked just like the Shiloh we knew, plus however many years. Excuse me. But he didn't remember me and just left. Cole frowned. That's I don't know. Too bad I missed it. Though you knew him and better than I did. That was definitely true. Not only had Cove known Shiloh for a shorter period of time, but he and Shiloh had never quite gotten along. That's true. Not that they were enemies, either just kids who were only ever together because of other people they both knew. I wonder what Shiloh's up to these days. I don't have any idea. He didn't say much.
Oh.
Oh well. That was everything you had on the news item. So you moved into the next big update. Also, you know the mean old neighbors? The ones who always yell at us? He cringed, recalling those familiar memories back in the days. It was not pleasant even for someone as nostalgic as him. Let's take a screenshot. There we go. Yeah. They're not coming. They didn't rent the condo this summer. Cole's jaw dropped. You didn't blame him. The elderly couple had been an institution for as far back as you could remember, long predating Cove's arrival. Even now, as a teenager, you found your neck pricking as you walked by their condo, half expected as scolding for breathing the wrong way in the vacancy of their vacation home. It was strange to think that coming to an end. Think of that as coming to an end. Wow. Copeland clearly struggling with the idea in the same way you had. I didn't see that coming. People being gone, people coming back. It feels like I've missed a lot. This has been a busy summer already. Well, you haven't missed the Fireflies. They haven't shown up yet. Well, that's something. And we better not get left behind. There's still stuff to do. You nodded. The two of you headed out and traced the most familiar path you'd ever walked. The trip across the road to Cove's house. It seemed that no sooner had the night begun, it was already at an end, and the dawn of a new day was soon upon you. The next morning, your belly was full of breakfast, and you were in a pleasant mood. You hoped the rest of the day followed suit. Later, you were meeting up with friends Cove, Miranda, and Terry to go into town. It was all on short notice, but it was because everyone was just so excited that Cove was finally back home. Having a nice daydream? You blinked, pushing all your thoughts away from returning to reality. Your mom was watching you with a teasing smile.
All right.
So, what's on the agenda today? Meeting up with some people. Well, I hope you and your friends have fun. Don't get into much trouble. She winked at you. You knew both of your moms wanted you to enjoy every bit of the summer before all the big changes started. I'll try.
That'd be great.
But before you go gallivanting around the town, could you bring the mail in? I'm finishing up putting the dishes away over here. Sorry about that. All right. Thanks very much. As soon as you were outside of your front door, you couldn't help but see Cove and his dad standing in the road. They noticed you. They noticed you too.
Hey.
Hey there, Chippy. Cove smiled lightly and waved. When you began making your way over, he added, "Hi." You gave him a high five. Trying to stifle a grin, you leaned in and raised your hand. Cove slapped your hand back, clearly amused. You noticed Mr. Holden was taking in the scene of you and Cove with a self-satisfied smile. Cove followed your line of sight and shot his dad an unimpressed look. For a moment, Mr. Holden seemed like he had a thought dancing on the tip of his tongue, but he decided to keep it to himself.
So,
what are you up to today? As far as I know, nothing too much. Me and Cove are meeting with some friends in town later. Sounds like a plan to me. Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched his arms over his head. My boy and I have been waiting around to see what the new neighbors are like. It was definitely his idea. I don't know how you're not interested in this. It's big news. Besides, it'd only be polite to greet the new folks in town. Yes, I'm dying to see the newcomers. Chippy gets it. Cove raised an eyebrow. Yeah, let's take a picture. There we go. Really? You too? Yeah, it could be anyone. The beach attracts all kinds of people. Cole thought about your words for a few seconds and then nodded, understandingly.
I guess.
Mr. Holden took one more glance at the currently vacant building and sighed dramatically. When he turned back to you and Cove, his whole body seemed deflated. There's no sign of them, and I still need to head over to work soon. Cove gave his dad a few reassuring pats on the back. Okay, I promise to keep an eye out. I can text you if anything happens. Really?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, only until I have to meet up with Terry and Miranda. Would that still work? With a wide grin breaking out on his face, Mr. Holden looked absurdly thrilled to have his nonsense enabled. I guess that's the word. That works. He moved to a familiar place, both hands over Cole's shoulder, fixing his child with a firm stare. Son, you are my true ally in this world. Yeah, taking a screenshot. Mr. Holden stood up, a strider letting Cove go. He looked reinvigorated. Okay, with that settled, I'll go make some money. That's always been the one thing I do best. Mr. Holden headed off to the garage with a big wave goodbye. Cove smiled the whole time you both watched his dad leave. Mr. Holden was one of your favorite people. He always tried his best and was honestly just great. As soon as he was out of sight, Cove sighed lightly. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Just not looking forward to waiting. Guess I'll be hanging around the street a while. I'll stick around to see the new neighbor. Curiosity about the new tenant was getting the better of you. Your mind was already swirling with too many thoughts about what they might be like. Really? Yeah, I know who's gonna be. I'm not gonna say it right now. Rory gave up this. Rory gave up one thing about Shiloh already, so I'm not gonna give up another spoiler. I can't leave until I find out what they at least look like. Cove nodded at that. You noticed that he seemed much happier about his task now that he wasn't going to be waiting alone. Cove put his hands on your shoulders, gripping you solidly but not enough to hurt. His eyes fixed on you just as firmly. He was serious. Chippy, you're my true ally in this world. Yeah, I'll always be your friend. In this story, of course. That got a fair amount of chuckles from you. You grinned, sarcasm, fading into amusement.
Thank you.
I knew you'd stay for me. It's no problem. Got nothing better to do right now anyway. I don't know about that, but I'm just happy you're always here. And then he let go of you. Cove stepped over to his front porch, steps lazily, taking a seat and leaning back on his arms. Our watch begins. Nodding in agreement, you joined Cove on the front porch steps. You both sat there in comfortable familiarity as you settled in for the waiting game on the new tenants. The neighborhood was quite quiet, and you sighed contentedly, closing your eyes and feeling the light breeze. I'll be right back, guys. I gotta use the bathroom. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, I reread this part so I can keep going. Eventually, you both perked up at the sound of a car. A taxi followed the noise, turning into your street. Cole's eyebrows raised at the sight. He sat up straight on the stoop.
Oh?
This has to be them, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. You lean forward, sitting on the edge of the front step. You couldn't wait to finally put an end to the suspense and get a look at the new neighbor. The taxi pulled up to a stop as you expected in front of the now empty condo. It was on the same side of the street as your house, and a few buildings further up. Without getting to his feet, Cove tried leaning and tilting his head to get a view of a passenger door as it opened. The single occupant excited exited the cab. Huh? You could feel that what Cove was in at that moment. After the last renters, this new visitor was definitely not exactly what you'd expected. Ah, it's Baxter. I knew it. I just didn't want to give it away. I already gave out the Shiloh visit. So let's take a picture because eventually we're going to be going after this guy. You gotta admit, he is very handsome, especially in this picture. There, took the picture. It was a young man, had to be close to your own age. He was dressed fully in eclectic black, white, and gray outfit. Even his side swooping hair matched the scheme. The only other pop of color was from something that couldn't easily be fashioned into submission. A pair of dark brown eyes, which caught when you looked over at his audience. Hello, folks. Who might you be? We're the neighbors. Yeah, let's take another picture. There we go. The smile already planted on his face curled further. He was cocky, but you didn't get the impression it meant something adverse. Hallelujah. You and Cove shared a familiar look with one another, bewildered even further. The color coordinated man left it there. However, with a firm click, he shut the door of his ride, then turned his back to you to retrieve a large, unsuppressibly black suitcase out of the trunk. Continuing on with his own business, he strolled forward and lightly tapped on the driver's side of the window with his knuckles, asking for them to roll it down. When it opened, he leaned down and rested his arm on the edge. You assumed he was thanking the driver for getting him there, considering he slipped them a tip during the brief chat. They shook hands, then he pushed himself up and away from the taxi with both arms, giving the driver room to leave. The taxi pulled away, rolling carefully down the road and out of sight. Around the corner, the new renter had officially arrived. We gotta take as many pictures of this handsome guy because we're eventually gonna be going after him. And they're still it's still actually working on the DLC for Baxter. Right now there's what do you call it? Beta version. Yeah, there's a beta version out that you can get. You could find and get. It shows you about, gives you an idea of what the storyline is going to be with Baxter. It's not the whole story. I'm not going to do the beta version because I'm just going to wait for the whole DLC to come out and then pay for it and do that once it comes out, and then I'll share it with you guys. I know, I'm looking forward to it. Let's take another picture. There we go. He left his suitcase on the ground out of the way of the street and sauntered over to your way with the confidence of someone who had been invited to join. Cole finally stood up to greet this person. You followed suit.
Excellent.
I'm Baxter Word. It's excellent to meet you neighbors. Nice to meet you too, handsome. When are we gonna get with Derek again? I don't know. I mean, I think we have to go. We had to go through this part to get to the next part, as far as I know. So we can meet up with Derek again, of course. Anyway, let's keep going. You were standing on the side he was approaching from. When Baxter got close enough, he offered his hand to you first. Yes, give him a hug. He's very handsome, might as well. It's not like we're dating Cove anyway. Yeah, let's take another picture. Baxter didn't miss a beat and embraced you around the back and giving you a tight squeeze. Hi, Baxter. I'm Chippy. Hey, Chippy. I'm quite keen on getting to know you better this summer. We could be good friends. Sure, in this story. But eventually we're going to be dating your hot butt. From your other side, Cove made a sarcastically amused scoff. And you are. He lifted his hand out to Cove next. Cove instead crossed his arms to express his rejection of that idea, still eyeing Baxter carefully. I'm Cove. Baxter's whole demeanor lit up for unknown reasons, his eyes stone as he studied Cove a moment.
Really?
Now wait, is that a nickname or your real name? And it's his real name. Trust me. It's my name. Cole spoke mildly, having given that explanation many times in the past, but clearly charmed Baxter all the same. He tossed his head to one side with a laugh. Take that shot. Why not? Your parents knew exactly what they were doing. I can't imagine more fitting name for the face I'm seeing. Cove. That's gorgeous.
What?
It's really not. No, I agree. It suits you.
Not bad.
Nice to see someone else knows. The impact I might have faded for you. Living with it this long, but I promise to be the outlooker. It's a knockout. Cove couldn't face either of you after that. His cheeks were quietly turning bright red with embarrassment. You noticed that Baxter looked apologetic over Cove's increased discomfort. I'm sorry. It wasn't intended to mean more than it did. I like your name, but you don't have to mind that. I'm apparently against stepping on anyone's toes. He chuckled to himself. It seemed like there was some extra meaning hidden in his words, and you noticed that Cove raised an eyebrow, picking up on that too. Baxter stood up straighter, striking a slight pose with a position of his feet. Excuse me, I got my nose. Sorry about that. Allergies. He began to speak, but suddenly stopped and closed his mouth. He became absurd on his own thoughts, tapping a finger on the side of his chin as he stared at you. You shot Cove a confused glance. He shrugged in response. After a few minutes, Baxter had the same smile curl from before. He removed the finger from his face and used it to point directly at you. We've met before. Yes, we have. At the soiree. In fact, we're going to be doing the soiree again once we get to the Baxter DLC. Because I hear that's something you have to do anyway when you first meet him. And we'll dance with him at the soiree. I mean, we'll go alone at first, and then we'll meet up with Baxter at the soiree, and we'll dance with him.
What?
What? When? Baxter continued to smile widely. His head tilted slightly to the side as he studied your visage? I don't know. It's embarrassing, but I haven't remembered that part yet. He laughed quarterly while Cove stared at him in disbelief. Baxter chuckled further, mirth growing at what must have been a very amusing situation in his mind. I'm getting there. Don't tell me. I know you want to, but do not. It'll come to me. He continued looking you up and down, hand back over his chin, while he racked his brain for answers. Ah, that's a cute picture. Got it. And then recognition appeared on his eyes. With a snap of his fingers, he announced his revelation as though he had forgotten his own birthday. The Cypress at the summer soiree, of course. Turning away from you, Baxter began rambling to himself about the details. That had been before any regionals. So, at the times I was about 14 years old. That makes it 5 years ago from now, right? Cole's mouth fell open. Are you kidding me? Is he serious? Did you really meet this guy at the country club party 5 years ago? If it helps you with another person, when we spoke, green eyes, short hair, generally with a cute bow tie, I believe. Yes, that's Dirk. We were dating him at the time. still going after him. Oh, so you and Derek? Derek, that was his name. Yes. Of course. Yeah, we're gonna go with this one. You were shocked, but yes, you did meet him once at the Cypress. It took his explanation to get it, but that memory of the guy you and Derek chatted with was coming back to you. Cole's eyes darted between you and Baxter again. The instigator of this discussion lightly gestured with his hands in response. It's good not to forget a face. Yep, that's true. Oh, as time flies, it does happen. Cove, remember when I told you the crazy story about Derek and I accidentally crashing another group's party one time? Yeah. That's what he's talking about. It's unbelievable that we're meeting again. A wonderful coincidence. Huh. Why were you there? You see, my parents are members of the Cypress. I happened to be in that particular location for an event related to my dance circuit. That was the chosen venue because they already had experience with business in the other branches. Funnily enough, the entire reason they joined was for the connections they could make with other members there. Looks like the perk has fully hit for me too. Originally, I thought it was only good since I could occasionally dance there. Baxter suddenly stopped and stood up straighter. He grinned. Dance. Oh yes, that's what I was going to say. I'm a ballroom dancer, hence the phrasing earlier. Yeah, we'll take another picture. There we go. Oh, I don't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool. It's not hard once you get the basics down. Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking.
Well,
He grinned in a way that was rapidly becoming familiar to you. If either of you or ever looking for a partner, I'm available. Cove frowned at the forwardness. Thanks. I'll pass, I think. I'll take you up on that offer sometime. I look forward to it then. After that, there was a lull in conversation, and Cove attempted to fill it.
So,
What made you decide on Sunset Bird? Oh, yes. Well, my parents rented a condo, so I had a place to stay while I'm off for a semester from college and not living in the dorms. Yeah, we'll take this one. There was a playful glint in Baxter's eyes as he continued. That looked like he's up to some no good, huh?
honestly,
Ideally, they wanted to send me somewhere that wasn't too exciting, but luckily for me, they picked the wrong street, concerning the two of you live here. Cove was practically reeling over how Baxter found a way to fit comments like that into a single topic thus far. Why do you keep doing that? You don't know us, but you talk like you already do. Well, he does remember. He does remember me. He just never met you, Coven, up until now. He knows our main character, I should say. Code spoke firm, yet generally confused, and Baxter smiled cautiously. I don't feel the need to keep words of praise to myself, and I say something. When I say something, I mean it.
see?
Plus, what's the point of spending my off semester alone? The best part of being somewhere new is getting to interact with new people. I'm honestly the first person who's acknowledged you're attractive and intriguing people. True, you're hidden away in a tiny tourist trap, but still. Baxter crossed his arms. After studying your faces for a few more seconds, he decided to continue. I'm only trying to score a hookup or get a romantic fling started by saying those things. No, that isn't the point of speaking well of others. I was raised better than that. Though, would I be fused if that's what my words led to? Also, no. I'm flexible. Not a surprise. I can back off with the lines if you don't like the attention, but I would like to be friends if we can. Cove wasn't sure how to respond. He glanced at you and continued to look at your face when he spoke. Of course we can be friends for now until your DLC comes out. We're totally going for you. Totally going for you. We're going to take this picture too. Thanks for answering. I don't think I'm interested in that. Maybe not the friend thing, but the other part. I'm finding it pretty entertaining. Yeah, I'm finding it pretty entertaining. Baxter laughed at that. Glad we're working things out. Shifting his weight to his other foot, Baxter tried to move forward. So, since you were both already here, did my arrival interrupt anything? Definitely not. I'm gonna go with this one. You told Baxter that you were both waiting to see who was going to move in. Excuse me. That condo hasn't had any new renter in my entire life. We had to see who was moving in now. Baxter laughed at that, immensely pleased with your response. I'm gaining a reputation in this town already. Not bad. Well, if either of you are free, I'd be thrilled to hang out this summer, but we can save the scheduled talk for later. I should get my things inside. He gave a smile nod of the head and flashed you both a dazzling smile.
Goodbye.
Goodbye for today. Okay. Yeah. Goodbye for now, Baxter. We'll be seeing you later. Definitely seeing you later. Cove simply waved goodbye. Bye, Baxter. See you. Baxter then turned on his heels and strolled back to his suitcase, picking it up and bringing it to his condo. You and Cove were silent as Baxter unlocked the door and disappeared inside the house. With him completely out of the scene, Cove let out a long breath.
Well,
I don't know how I'm going to explain that guy to my dad. You mean his forwardedness? Yeah, he's very forwarded, but he's very hot too. You burst into a fit of laughter, trying to imagine the conversation. At least the job is done. We saw the new neighbor, and now we can go meet up with Terry and Miranda. Yeah, we should get going. You gave Baxter's condo one last glance over your shoulder. I'm gonna definitely go with this one. You thought he was charming. You really weren't sure when, but at the same point, Baxter won you over. You were curious to get to know him better. Laughing quietly, you wondered how Baxter would fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. Turning your attention back to Cove, you pushed all thoughts of Baxter aside. You both started making your way towards town. A little while later, you and Cove reached the main street in town. All of a sudden, you stopped walking. What's wrong? I think I heard my phone. You dug your cell phone out and looked at it with a satisfied grin. There was a new message. You opened the new text from Miranda, and all you saw was, "I can see you." Immediately from where you stood, you started swirling your head around. You couldn't spot Miranda anywhere, but she did send you more messages. I see you looking. Where are you? The message was sent, and you were back to looking around, scanning for any sign of movement and familiar faces, but they were still invisible. Cove looked at you carefully, raising an eyebrow. Miranda, come on out. Cove jumped a bit with your sudden outburst. He raised an eyebrow and looked at you carefully. Oh, what's happening? Before you could even begin explaining to Cove, you both snapped your attention to yelling from across the street. And there you saw Miranda and Terry coming up from behind the backside wall of the grocery store. They both started waving wildly to draw even more attention to themselves. Cove took a step in their direction. He grinned and waited for them to get closer. Laughing and arm in arm, the girls stopped only to look both ways and then rushed across the empty street.
Hi.
Hi, I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hey, buddies.
Hi. I'm amazed. How did you appear out of nowhere like that? They started giggling again. Terry glanced at Miranda, wondering what their story should be.
Ooh.
It was magic. Gesturing in a vaguely whimsical manner, Terry went along with the decision. And magicians never reveal their secrets. That's fair. Terry then closed the distance between her and Cove, crushed him in a playful, tight hug. You're finally here, it's been so long. What took you? He did his best to eke out a reply, with his chest being compressed.
Sorry.
Eventually, she let him go. Terry looked at him with a beaming smile, but Cove was distracted, rubbing his arms. Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her hip. She watched Cove, apparently with a bashful smile. Welcome back. Thanks. It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you would have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either.
So?
Cove. Terry poked Cove square in the chest. You're gonna have to get me your schedule by this time yesterday.
No way.
Not really possible, Terry, but I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you I'm busy with Orca activities. When Cove wasn't at his part-time job pursuing athletic and academic interests, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California Affiliation, Orca. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when he started getting involved with them. It was Cove's activity. Their big smash event for the year is coming up, isn't it? Yeah, there's not much more to do before then, but I'm kind of looking forward to the fundraising push. You noted wondering how the event would turn out this year. I know you can do it, and even if it does really bad, it'll still look good on a college application at least. That's true.
Hey!
Hey, guess what else? We didn't have to stand here and say stuff. Let's go. I would like a meal now. Perking up, Cove nodded in agreement. Yeah, for sure. The four of you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way. The only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed by in a blink of an eye. When night fell, it was Time to head home, and you parted ways with Miranda and Terry. You and Cove reached your neighborhood without event. It was late enough that you're out of the way. Street was dark and silent. You were walking tiredly after such a long day. You yawned, stretching your arms high over your head. It was taking a lot of mental focus to keep up and walk alongside Cove. As you did so, you peered at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wondered why he felt so distant to you. It was out of character. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. It surprised you when you did hear his voice all of a sudden. He still wouldn't look at you. It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same. And they're not. They've changed. They're still changing. Your mouth felt comfortably dry all of a sudden. It was true. The things that kept the people you know together were starting to disappear. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now that it wasn't set for them. You thought about your own immediate future. You had been considering more and more, and ideas were starting to settle in your mind. You hoped. Going to go school part-time now. Going to work full-time. I guess going to work part-time and then going to school part-time. And going to school part-time. Sure. Even though that's something that I wouldn't do for real. That was the basics. For your career, you thought you'd work online. Or start your own business. And that was all. For your education, you thought you'd take online classes. Yeah. Or join a trade school. That was all. And for that, you wanted to stay local. Yeah. It all happened so soon. It all be happening so soon. You'd already applied to schools and jobs. And you only spoken about this with family and those who were close to you, like Clove. And now you wonder what Cove had in mind. You'd heard him consider some things for his future, but it was never anything that would have counted as a real plan. Making it back home, you both stopped in the middle of the street. Cove sighed. Cove looked at the ground for a moment. His mouth trembled, trying to settle on the right words to say. So, are you still thinking about going to school and stuff in Sunsetburg? Yeah. Cove closed his eyes and nodded. While he composed his thoughts, he looked at you, and when he lifted his head,
I mean...
I decided on something, well, kind of. He smiled slightly and rubbed his arm. Then his expression grew more serious. I'm not going to decide on a school or a career, not this summer. I'm going to stay here, at least in Sunsetburg. I'll probably move out of my dad's place. I'll keep working my job and keep doing my volunteer stuff and everything else.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll know what I want for myself by fall or next year, or maybe I'll never have a plan. Life will continue on with whatever is happening. I'm not gonna crush myself trying to have anything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it. His brow furrowed and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him.
I guess
it'll be me and you right now for a while longer. His eyes were glossy, and you were going to be separated, and that meant a very great deal to him. Somehow I'm not surprised things turned out like this. Cove laughed. All the tension and thoughts that had been weighing on him seemed to momently melt away. I'll see you tomorrow, Chippy. I'll see you, Knight. He pulled you into an unexpected hug. It knocked the breath out of you, yet you couldn't have been more reassuring feeling. You returned his embrace and stayed that way for as long as you could.
Good night.
Knight. He finally let out, giving you another smile. Then Cove started walking away, but you remained there frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered how many more times we'll be able to say that he'll see you tomorrow. You hoped for countless more times. Finally, you turned towards your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most out of every moment you had this summer. Okay, I guess that's the end of that. How do we get to the Derek DLC? I don't know. Back to the DLC, I don't know. I don't think we're supposed to be doing this anyway. Oh, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and save it right there. Now, we had a long day recording anyways. So, thanks again for watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button for those of you who haven't subscribed yet. And please go check out my Patreon account. Please become a Patreon contributing member. Remember, all the funds that go in there go directly to charity. I don't see a penny of it. It just goes directly to charity. So you'd be doing a great thing by helping out worthy charities that need the funds. And I would greatly appreciate it as well. Because that's why I do this. This is why I do this, to entertain you guys. That hopefully some of you will join my Patreon so that the funds can go to a worthy charity that I choose from. Like I said, I don't see a penny of it. It just goes directly to charity. And you can find the link to my Patreon within the description area just below the video. So, until next time, I will see you guys later.